Hey guys, Zack here, and this is my review of One Piece Season 1 Episode 9. So, this episode mainly introduces a new major character who's a bit of a liar. But he's very good at it, and that will come in later. So, the episode comes in with the new character I mentioned, Usopp, coming in and exclaiming that pirates are coming. It's later revealed to be a lie, and he's chased out of town into a tree, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And while that's happening, Luffy and his crew are discussing where to get a ship, and Nami finds a place, and they go there. And Luffy's just like, yeah, we also need some proper food, and maybe a musician. So, and a cook. But, yeah, that's really it. And they do eventually show up, which is where the little subplot with Usopp comes in. Usopp, after lying to the townsfolk and getting chased out of town and climbing up a tree, is confronted by his crew, who are really just these three little kids who all wear bandanas and have little wooden swords. It's kind of adorable, actually. But they show up. Well, two of them show up. One kid is late because he discovers that pirates are actually coming, and they are confused for Buggy's pirates because they have the buggy skull and crossbones on it. I forget what the actual name is called, but I might put it on the video if I can remember what it is. So they show up on shore. Luffy's just excited about meat. He's hungry, as always. And then Usopp and his three little pirate kids show up and make a big show of having such a huge crew and huge numbers, and that if they come one step closer, they are probably gonna get shot at. And then Nami pretty much sniffs it out right away that it's a lie, and that he doesn't actually only has the three people, and the little kids run off once they realize they've all been caught. So Usopp pulls one of his little marbles out, and one of his little slingshot marbles out, and threatens to shoot them if they get too close. But then Luffy uses a little line that he borrowed from Shanks about putting his life on the line, and eventually Usopp just collapses crying because he's not exactly the bravest guy in the world. But then Luffy reveals that he was making a joke, and then also reveals that he knows Usopp's dad, Yasopp, who is part of the red-haired pirates. And that he was quite the marks. And then they go in, get some dinner, and Luffy reveals that Yasopp was also not only quite the marksman, but also loved to talk about his son, to the point where Luffy kind of got sick of it. And then Nami asks where they can get a ship, but Usopp says that it's a small town, there really isn't a place. Except that Zoro notices there's a little mansion on the hill, which Usopp says not to go to and runs off. And it's revealed that he was going to talk to the little girl Kaya, whose butler doesn't allow her to go outside because she's kind of in a poor mental state because her parents died, and the butler's looking after her and doesn't want her getting hurt or any of that. And also Usopp is a bit of a liar, so he doesn't want her being a negative influence on her. And then right as he leaves, Usopp sneaks in through a little part of the bush that he turned into a brick and pulls it out. Sneaks in through there, climbs up on the tree, and throws a rock at her window, and starts telling her one of his so-called famous pirate stories, where he brags about the time he found the giant goldfish and fought it and beat it. And there's not really a giant goldfish. I mean, there are giant sea creatures as we've seen in this up to this point, but there are no giant goldfish. So after that point, Usopp, as Usopp's talking, his little pirate friends go to try and rescue him, and realizes that he's missing and that Luffy has eaten a substantial amount of meat and was enjoying it. And then Zoro makes a joke that they ate him, and that terrifies the little kids. And I would be terrified because they're little kids. They're little kids. You don't tell somebody that their best friend in the entire world's been eaten, especially somebody they look up to as an adult role model. That's terrifying for a little kid. You don't do that. So yeah, maybe don't tell people that you ate their friend. I mean, that's a good life lesson for all time. I mean, it's not really going to apply much in it's not going to apply much. And then they go to the gate, and then after the misunderstandings all cleared up, by the way, Luffy and the crew are brought by Usopp's crew and are told and tell him the story of how Usopp is probably the world's most honorable liar, because he is a liar, yes, but he uses his lies to help Kaya feel better, to get over her depression from her parents dying, and that works because she is laughing up a storm as they're all telling this. And Luffy, realizing she's probably in a good mood, decides to jump over the fence using his powers, and everybody tries to grab him and tell him to stop, because you don't jump in without asking permission. But he doesn't listen and uses his technique called, and I'm not even kidding on this, Gum Gum Pardon the Intrusion. Perfect name. Okay, so after that, they land on the other side of the fence and proceed to ask Kaya for a boat until the butler shows up and demands why they're inside the mansion grounds in the first place, and tries to throw them out. But that's going to wait for next episode. And we also get an ominous shot of this guy who until I actually know his real name, I'm going to proceed to call Pirate Slash, because it makes sense. It'll make sense because I've shown the picture of what he looks like, and you guys guys will see. Yeah, this guy does look like Slash from Guns N' Roses. He does. He's got a goatee. He's got heart-shaped sunglasses, and he's got a top hat. He's Pirate Slash. Come on, that's perfect. But yeah, that's really all of the episode. I like Usopp as a character. Usopp's an interesting character to me because he is a liar, but he does do it honorably, which is something I never thought I'd say out loud, but I did. I never thought I'd actually hear those two words in a sentence, because the reason he lied about pirates showing up is so that he could give the town some excitement because they're otherwise bored out of their skull and don't really get all that much excitement. So he lies about their whole pirate thing to give them some excitement, and that's fine. That's fine. And he's also uses his lies to keep Kaya happy and entertained, so that she doesn't kill herself out of her depression, which is perfect. Which is a perfect use of lying, because if you're going to lie, use it to make somebody feel better. I mean, I can ultimately imagine this biting poor Usopp in the ass, but a pretty good use of lying nonetheless. But yeah, I like this episode, and Luffy and the little kids. The little kids were adorable. I mean, they're not technically pirates, but they are just little kids who play pirate with Usopp, and Usopp. Yeah, and Usopp just lets them, and it's adorable. It's just the cutest little thing. It's like Captain Usopp, and this like, hey little kids, you wanna play pirate today? Come on, bring it in. Let's be pirates. It's adorable. He made friends, sort of. He made friends with a couple of little kids, and having made friends with a couple of little kids myself, because I do work in daycare, I can kind of relate to that, and I do think it's kind of adorable. And yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this review here. So I have one question for you guys, and that is, if you guys have seen this episode of One Piece, what did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching this review. If you liked it, hit that like and that subscribe button. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. Until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!